Welcome back. Your favourite chicken curry or the Sunday roast could soon get a lot pricier as farmers pass on the burden of spiralling costs. A study by the consultancy group Deloitte has found that rising wheat prices have almost doubled the cost of animal feeds, making food price rises all but inevitable. But there's also an impact on the rest of the economy, as our economics correspondent, Faisal Islam, explains.
They're calling it agflation, the rapid rise in agricultural prices around the world. And here's the latest example. Grain prices have almost doubled in the past year. They surged to a record high of $7.44 a bushel in the US market a few days ago. And as grain prices rise, the cost of keeping poultry and livestock goes up. And so eventually will the price of meat and other staples like bread, milk and eggs.
The people I supply are very sympathetic, but the price increase has yet to come through. We view it as a world problem that feed costs are going up, and you know, it just won't be cheap imports. Everybody will have to pay more for their beef as time goes on and these feed costs come into the industry.
Now, if you think it's been a bad summer here, look at this litany of farming disasters around the world. Drought in Canada, the world's second largest exporter, could see its wheat crop reduced by a fifth. The harvest around the Black Sea also down 25%, and Chinese production is expected to fall by 10% after flooding and drought. But this year's climate-related calamities are just details in a longer-term trend that's not all bad for all farmers. Demand for grain not just accelerating to feed humans, but to fill green petrol tanks. Since 2000, the amount of grain used to make ethanol in America has trebled, hoovering up a fifth of the country's corn supplies.
The farmers producing the wheat and the other similar staple crops are going to have a better time. And, OK, they've had a tough time in some ways in the recent history, but undoubtedly things are looking bright for them. But, you know, that's just one half of the equation. You've then got the animal producers, if you like. It's an old-fashioned corn versus horn debate. And at this time, the corn producers look like they're going to be doing well, and the horn are going to suffer. If you're producing any livestock and you're doing your budgets for next year, I'd be very surprised if any show a positive outcome.
Over the last decade, we've grown used to the China effect, helping global growth. Its cheap manufacturing exports have kept prices down around the world. But there's a sting in this dragon's tail. As China gets richer, living standards rise, and the Chinese diet's changing. They're eating less rice and more pork and chicken, driving up meat prices. In turn, this is driving up grain prices by increasing the demand for animal feed.
And you're seeing in China people being able to afford to buy pork and chicken as opposed to rice and vegetables, which is what they've been eating up till now. And that has a big impact on the world market for the feed which is used to raise those animals in China. That feed becomes more expensive because the Chinese are buying it all up. You could say it's the same as what's happening in the oil market or in copper or any of the other raw industrial commodities.
This is why it's not just farmers keeping a close watch on grain prices. The world's central bankers have an unusual interest in exactly what's being served up on the dinner plates of China. It may well hold the key to when China, rather than helping keep inflation in check, starts to export it around the world.
Faisal Islam, you're watching Channel 4 News at 7:33. Our main